Cool. I think I'll start with the introductions in the meantime while the rest of the guys are joining. And then by the time hopefully everyone's joined after their cup of coffee, we'll dive right in with the actual webinar. Cool. So we'll just cover some sort of information for the webinar. So we will be recording this webinar. We will be uploading it to our YouTube channel. And then you guys can go watch it on your own time there. We have got the previous webinars up there, and there's a couple of other webinars as well. So feel free to go and browse the YouTube channel and watch the other previous webinars as well. If there's any questions during the webinar, just post them in the chat. We've got a couple of guys with us. There's a couple of presenters. They'll be able to answer your questions during the chat. If there's anything that I'll need to just chat about, I'll just maybe pause for a moment and just chat about the question. And if we can't answer any of the questions during the webinar, we'll contact you directly after the webinar and just answer the question if it needs a bit more detail or more information. Lastly, we will be doing a survey at the end of the webinar. We'll email it to you if you can kindly complete it and give us feedback. That's always good to help us to know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong, and make this more better for everyone, eh? Cool. Also, apologies if my voice sounds a bit croaky. The flu has got me, so I might go a bit squeaky during my presentation, so apologies for that. Alrighty, on to our journey for today. So the journey for today starts with me, Bradley Miller. Been at GreatSoft, I think now 13, 14 years. Sitting in the product team at the moment, product manager for CRM and planner. So I'll be presenting some planner features today. I'll also be presenting some CRM features today. I'll hand then over to Pierre. Pierre will take you guys through his payroll presentation. Directly after that, we'll go over to Sheldon. Sheldon will take us through secretarial. And after that, we'll have Zanre, which is new to our team. She'll take us through the tax. So it's been quite an exciting webinar for today. We've got a few things to show you guys. So I'm quite excited for all that. All right. Let's just check. I think we can get going. It's almost 9:05. So like I say, if anyone missed anything, they can just catch it up in the recording. But let's dive right into things. Cool. So I'm going to start off with my agenda today. So my agenda that I want to go through is processing. I'll take us through the open item billing wizard, a couple of the new features we added there. And then after that, we'll just do some general things around the CRM, entries, quick searching, things like that, and budgets. And after that, we'll dive into Planner. All right, so we'll show you some new features we've added to Planner. So that's the order of affairs for me. I don't have presentations. I like showing things live. So I'll be doing a demo, and we'll be going through all of these features live on our demo site. So we'll take you through that now. So before I dive in as well, I want to talk about something else. So I thought it'd be quite interesting, keeping with the Easter theme. So we got your Easter egg meaning. For those of you that don't know, we either have Easter eggs, the ones that we all love and enjoy, the chocolate ones that we love and eat now during Easter. However, the Easter egg I'm talking about is an unexpected or undocumented feature in a piece of software or on a DVD. So I think that's a little bit of maybe older one, but you get Easter eggs in series, anything that sort of people put in there that isn't obvious, but catches the eye. So I think in the theme of today's sort of Easter webinar, I want to take you through a couple of the Easter eggs that we add along the way, but it doesn't always come across in the release notes. And I think these kind of things will be helpful for the guys. So I'll take you through a couple of those. Right, let me just get my agenda up on my side so I can follow through this. All right, so diving right in, I'm going to go into the open item billing wizard. I want to take you through our new narration builder. So if I go processing billings, we're going to do an open item fee. I've prepared one already for today, so I'm going to dive right into that one for myself. So I'm going to use Janita Clothing today to demonstrate things on. So if we go into this open item fee, I'm using the wizard content. And for the wizard I want to show you the new narration builder. This narration builder is available as well on normal fees. It's available on invoicing. However, on open item billing, we do get slightly more benefits, and I'll take you through those in a moment. So for those of you that aren't familiar with open item billing, it's more transactionalized billings down to the timesheets, as opposed to just billing your clients a fee for a job. This will actually then allow you to go further and select the actual employee's time for the actual work. So I've already pre-selected a couple. So if we go through here, we'll see there's a couple selected there. There's one selected there, and there's some selected there. So what I do want to do is I just want to select a couple more. So let's just say we want to bill for faxes sent over here. And we also maybe want to bill for setup of directors over there. So we want to bill that time. And let's just do another one. Yeah, let's just go audit as well. So I just want to add on a couple more guys. We're going to bill 10,000. We allocate that. And we're then going to go through to step number 2. So what this allows us to do now with the narration builder is a couple of items. Okay, so let's just maximize our billing screen. So over here, we've already got a couple of pre-built guys. But now what we can do with our narration builder over here is we can actually pull up from either prior invoices, so either for this client or for this user. So I can actually go through and go to the old invoices for this client and actually pull out narrations on prior invoices. What I can also then go and do is say, for me as a user, my prior billings, these were my prior billings, and I can actually come in here and find all the narrations on my prior billings. So if I'm keep recurring doing the same kind of billings, instead of typing those narrations out, obviously these are quite short. If they were quite long narrations, you can just automatically pull these through. So as you click on them, you'll notice it fills it in. But if you want to do a couple, you can actually just multiple click, and you'll see it'll just keep appending those multiple narration lines. So with the builder, you can go and build that up. So like I said, that works from a client perspective and from a user perspective, depending on what you need. So if you want to build this client and every month you keep billing the same thing, it's got very similar narration, you can just go to client. We have actually fixed this on the next release. So this will be in date order descending. So you can take the last invoice and actually just bill the narration from that invoice. Well, why I want to show you this on the open item billing is it adds another dynamic to this. So you can actually go to those timesheets that you have selected on step number 1, and those narrations from those timesheets, you can actually pre-use those as well. So you can actually go and say, you know what, this was for setup of directors. And as I click on that, it immediately pulls that through. Now, again, if your staff are capturing very detailed timesheets, this is very valuable, because you can actually literally take that narration from the timesheet and put it directly on the billing without having to open up separate screens to maybe go and copy and paste those kind of narrations. So that's very valuable. If I just drop that off, the same can be done for disbursements as well. So we'll see from the previous one, we selected faxes sent. So if you're billing, like here, 20 Rand for faxes, you can just click on that and it'll put in faxes sent. So again, you've got two options in these modes as well. You've got either the narration from the transaction, or you've just got the activity. So this one, the actual disbursement that was put to this WIP was called fax sent. Same thing with timesheet, is you've either got auditing, secretarial, tax planning, but the narrations are what the actual users captured in the narration box. The activity is the type of work that they selected when doing their timesheet. All right, so that's the narration builder. It works on open item billing, it works on the custom narration screen, it works on fees, it works on invoices, all those kind of areas as well. So if you're using custom narrations, you'll have this narrations button here. So this is if you want narrations outside of the tasks, you can again pull through those invoicing, timesheets, disbursements that was used on the prior steps. So very valuable there. Awesome. So that is the narration builder. The other thing I want to take you through, other little Easter egg, is from time to time we add quite a lot of these system options. Now, unfortunately, these things can sometimes drastically change the way the system works, which is why we add them as system options. Now, the tricky part is we don't know which of our clients want these system options on or off. So we normally try and come up with the default, which will have low impact on all of our clients. But the problem with that is sometimes these get overseen and no one ever turns these on, and you miss some nice features. So the first one I want to take you through is service line filtering. Here we go. So there's an option here. So again, not everyone might have access to this. Only the system administrators will have access to these system options. So just take note of that. But we got these options now to apply service line filtering to Open Item Wizard. So previously, I could pick any task that I wanted to bill on any invoice. However, if I turn this on and we go do a new open item fee, and I'm going to go back and build Janita clothing. So let's just go here. Clothing. And again, I'm going to use the wizard because this affects the wizard. What you will notice is, sorry, I went a bit fast there, but the service line here for this invoice is administration. So now in my wizard, I only have my admin tasks. All right, I no longer have all my other tasks available to select. So quite often guys will maybe have very specific data reports, which they want to filter on the service line. And if you are filtered on the service line, you might be billing tax tasks on a secretarial invoice and vice versa, and audit all over the place and things like that. So this now allows you to say, you know what, this is going to be for audit or assurance. And now when I come into the wizard, I will only have my audit and assurance tasks. There we go. So now we've only got audit. So that kind of allows you to keep your billing in line with the task that you select with your invoice service line. Okay, so one little Easter egg there, I think, that we added, which also got missed along the way. The other thing as well is if I delete this and I come back here. So for guys that have been using open item billing, we used to have an older sort of capture screen for doing open item billing. It's quite a bit slower than the current screen, but obviously with the new screen runs through the wizard, as the guys adopt the new billing wizard, we can actually do away with the old billing. So currently, if I wanted to do old open item billing, I can actually still come here down to new bill item, and I can go here and I can go accounting 16, and this will actually bring up the prior, this was the previous open item billing screen that we used. So some firms no longer want to use this at all. So again, what we can also do, if you guys have decided that only the billing wizard is going to get used, there is a system option as well. It's called display new bill item on open item fees. So if we turn that off now, okay, and we come back to open item fee, what you'll notice is you can no longer capture over here. Now you are forced to capture using the billing wizard. Okay, so for firms that don't want to allow the old open item billing way, we can turn that system option, in this case, off, and that will then disable the old billing. Okay. All right, so that's what I wanted to cover under the billing wizard. There was some other little Easter eggs that I wanted to cover, but they're going to be just quick. It's small things along the way that we've added. So previously, I think quite a couple of requests came through. You raised an invoice, you posted it today. Client actually asked you to raise it next week. So now the date on the invoice is wrong. So what we've actually allowed now is, if you want, you can edit the date on an invoice. So if you go to processing, edit invoices, again, if you have security to get you can pull up the invoice number, and over here by edit header details, you'll have the date here to alter. The only restrictions is it must be within the current financial period. You cannot move them outside of the current financial period. So if you want to move this one from the 1st of May 2021, you can move it to any date within May. You cannot move it before or after May, as that will affect your financial periods, all the balances across your financial periods and aging and all of those kind of good things that go with it. Okay, so this is quite a small change, but for guys where they just quickly need to change the invoice, you no longer have to contact our support and ask them to change the invoice dates. You can do it on your own. The other little Easter egg I want to go through is under processing credit note allocations. This has been a long time coming. Which credit note can I pick on? Just quickly, I want to find a credit note. Previously, we didn't allow you to edit credit note allocations. We've now added that in. I didn't prepare beforehand to show this, so now I'm going to battle to find one. Let's hopefully find. There we go. So a lot of guys use service allocation reporting, and if you had created a credit note with the incorrect allocation, again, you would have to ask support to please help you to update that allocation. We've now allowed that to be altered here. So if you pick the wrong allocation, you're welcome to come back into the credit note and correct that. Okay, so those were some quick things I just wanted to cover. Then on to my general section. It actually still does fall in line with billings and processing. So for the system, quite a while now, we've actually had what we deem secure views. Now, secure views allows you to restrict the database to access, so office access. So maybe you only want to allow a certain office to a certain employee, or possibly a range of clients that you want to restrict access to certain employees. We deem that secure views, and that has been working for quite a while now in client inquiry, as well as tax and secretarial. We have now introduced this to processing. It does complicate things quite a bit with the processing, so please make sure it is what you really want when you turn it on, because it will, like I say, restrict offices and tasks across office and things like that. So to do that, what you need to do is, first step, under each employee, you will need to set up the secure view requirements for that person. So I'm going to go to myself in the database, under my employee maintenance. I'm going to go edit my maintenance quickly, and I'm going to go here to the tab that says personal lists. Okay, so under personal lists, you've got an option here that says you can add, so we can add here, and there's options here for secure office, secure protected, and secure specified. Okay, so those are the three that will secure down clients. Secure office gives me access to every client within an office and every task within an office. Secure protected is if there's a very specific client that you only want to grant Bradley Miller access to. So if I add a client here under secure protected and I pick Janita Clothing here as an example, then only I will have access to Janita Clothing, and no one else in the database will be able to get access to Janita Clothing. The converse to that is secure specified. So this is for cases where you don't want to give a user the whole office access. You just want to give them access to maybe 5 clients. You will then come to secure specified, and in the same breath, you can then go and say, okay, you know what, give them access to this client, this client, this client, and this client. So those are the options we have at the moment for secure views. So as we can see, I've given myself secure office for Johannesburg. And what always happens with secure office is I always get access to what's called my home office. So my employee lives in Cape Town. So in this sense now, I get access to Cape Town office as well as access to the Johannesburg office through secure views. All right. So what that now all means is if I go here to processing, and this affects or billing, sorry, if I go to receipting, credit notes, disbursement, bulk capture, there's quite a lot of areas that this applies to. All right. So what will happen now is when I do a new open item fee, you'll actually notice over here now under processing office, I've only got Joburg and Cape Town. Under billing office, I've got Joburg and Cape Town. And a little bit tricky to show you, but these list of clients will only be for Johannesburg and Cape Town. So if there's any clients in any other offices, they will not exist here, and I will not be able to bill them. All right. So that's the secure views for processing. Now, this as well can be turned on and off at any time, because as I say, this originally was introduced in the system for client inquiry and secretarial and tax. So this might already be enforced on your database. In other words, these clients would be limited to the offices you have access to, in my case, Joburg and Cape Town. But there is a specific system option to actually turn this on for processing. So I believe it lives under eCost options. There we go. There's apply secure views to processing. So if I turn that off and we go back to processing and billings, and let me do that new open item fee again, just to show you. Now that it's off, I've got access to Joburg, Cape Town, Gaborone, Mauritius, all the other offices in the database. Okay, so you can turn it on and off for processing if you only want to use it in tax or secretarial as an example. All right, so that takes us through our secure views. The other things I wanted to take you through was our quick search. So those guys, I'm sure everyone's seen it by now, I hope so. Directly on the bar now, you no longer have to go to dashboard client inquiry. You can actually just go here and go Janita Clothing, and I can pull up Janita Clothing directly from any screen within GreatSoft. Okay, so I think quite a nice welcome addition when you need to pull up a client quickly. You now got access from any page within GreatSoft. So that is the quick client search. From here, I just want to take you through data entries quickly. Other small things we've added to data entries is you can now export these. So previously, you might have copied this whole table and pasted into Excel, things like that. You can just hit the download and you'll have a nice Excel import of the data. Okay, So you no longer need to copy paste that into Excel. The other things that we've added as well over at the tasks for the WIP entries. So if we go down here to something like, let's pick on accounting 16. So if I go to the accounting 16 task and I go to WIP entries, what we've also added on here is the export button. So again, you can export these WIP entries instead of having to copy and paste them, as well as again for open item billing clients, you've now got an option to show unbilled only items. So unbilled only will be anything that doesn't have a zero balance. In other words, this timesheet was for 8,000 Rand. There has been no billing. Sorry, this must be tiny, so apologies for that. Let me zoom in a little bit. So this guy's timesheet is for 8,000 Rand. We've billed zero against it. We've done zero adjustments, so there's still a balance of 8,000 Rand. Okay. If you did open item billing and you say you billed 4,000 for that client or for that timesheet, you will have a 4,000 billed and a balance of 4,000 remaining. And then you've got this option to say show unbilled only, which will then just give you the outstanding transactions. So these are the same transactions you should see on your open item billing when you go create a new fee for this client. All right. So again, making these quick lookup screens a little bit more interactive and useful to get up the data that you need. Last thing I want to go through under general kind of processing for CRM items is if we add on a new client, we've added a quick group add-in. So for guys that use very complex group structures or like to have kind of holding groups for their clients. Okay, so if you've ever captured a client in GreatSoft under references, you've got a group option here. So that either allows you to set up a holding group structure or it just allows you to group all your similar clients into a specific group. Okay, so let's just say I'm adding a new client here. We'll call it MUL. I can't use 127 because I've used that before. So we'll call it MUL 128 and we'll call it the Ellison Miller Trust. Okay. Forget that it's a company, but let's just call it Ellison Miller Trust. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to capture this new company. I'm going to flag it for office costing, and then I'm going to go through for references. I'm just going to quickly set my references, not too important for our training now or our webinar now. But if I wanted to create this as a group, okay, so say I wanted a holding group for the Ellison Miller Trust, where I'm going to put all the trustees in this group to get a nice holding structure. Previously, you had to kind of save this client. Then you had to go maintenance, then you had to go to groups. Then once you saved the client, you would go new group. After you created a new group or after you open up the new group, you would then be able to search for that Ellison Miller Trust as an example, but it doesn't exist yet because I haven't saved it. So you would then go here, save the group. Once you save the group, you then got to go out of all that back to your client, and then you would be able to select that new group here. So as you can see, a little bit of a runaround just to add a group. So what we've done now is pretty much done all of that in one click. So if I click this button, if all goes well, we've now got the Ellison Miller Trust. If we save that, we've now got a brand new client for Ellison Miller Trust assigned to a holding group. So I'm sure everyone can agree, much, much, much faster. And just to sort of let you guys see that, if I go here to group maintenance, there's that group that I've just created. Okay. Alrighty, so that's the quick group add. So I'm sure everyone should be using that by now. The other thing I want to go through is employee budgets. So we've added on employee budgets into the system. So it's under maintenance employee budgets. This allows you to pick each one of your staff, and per year, per financial period in your database, you can budget on their standard hours, chargeable hours, non-chargeable hours, chargeable values, non-chargeable value, their expected fees that they're going to raise, and their expected cost to company. The annual leave I'll go over in a moment. So I can't remember if I demoed this before, but this came into the software last year sometime. What we've now added is we've added on two additions. We've added on custom columns. So for any budgets requirements that we don't cater for, you can create more columns, as well as we've added on auto calcs, which I'll take you through now. So what I'm going to do is, as you can see, annual leave is a custom column. I'm going to go add on another custom column. And to do that, if you go maintenance, user defined fields. And here under type of user defined fields, we're going to go to employee budget. When whoops, let me hit the refresh button. So under employee budget, you'll see we've only got annual leave. I'm going to create a new one, and possibly we want to budget, I don't know, let's maybe provisional submissions. Okay, so maybe you want to budget the amount of time users will spend provisional submissions. I mean, it's really free up to you what you want to capture here. Sorry, also there's two options. We can either do text. So but maybe you want to capture any extra text information on the budget. So maybe, I don't know, I can't think of a good example up front, but in our case, we want to capture a number. So I just want to change that to number. So in other words, we want to capture a value of hours. So now if I close that, we go back here. Let me just refresh employee budgets so that we get our new column coming through. And let's go back to Bradley Miller. You'll see now we can also then budget on provisional submissions per month as well. So we can add that to our budget. So yeah, this allows you to then to have as many custom columns as you want. You can then go for each staff and budget on number of submissions, hours for submissions, hours for leave, overhead costs, billing costs, anything like that that you want to budget over and above what we do allow. Now, the nice part about this is if I quickly just add on a few filters, I think I'm part of administration. Cool. So what you can now do is export this data as well. So if I export this, I prepared beforehand. So I'm just going to open up, if I can find it. I'm going to open up my document that I exported before. So this was exported before. In this case, actually, I'm going to have to do a new one. Okay, so let's close that one. Let's grab the one that I've just exported now. So that employee budget's down there. You'll see it's exported all my employees that existed with those filters. I don't want all of them. I'm just going to drop off the ones that I don't want to do now because I just don't want too much information now for demo purposes. So let's just drop all of these rows quickly. Okay, so you'll see now all the budgets for Bradley Miller come out in this Excel spreadsheet, as well as the custom columns. And let's just say I want to say 10 submissions, 100 submissions, 50 submissions. I can then go through here and update the spreadsheet in bulk. I can then capture any hours here in bulk. So say I want to go 110 hours chargeable for this month. And once I've done all this, I can save this. Okay. And then what I can do is just go back here, import. And when I import, I can just either drag and drop the spreadsheet, or I can just go and find it. In this case, there it is there. It will now import that spreadsheet that I've updated. You'll see there my prof submissions 10, 150 have all been updated. My 110 hours there has been updated. So that then allows us just to import this, save it back into the system. All right, and there's my updated budgets. Now, obviously, I did it for one employee. You can go and do this in bulk for all your employees. And that's also for each year that you want to budget for. The other thing as well that we introduced for these employee budgets is an auto calc feature. So if you noticed when I imported this over here, you'll notice that whatever was in the spreadsheet got imported. So here when I said 110 chargeable hours, my non-chargeable is still 0, but I've actually got 160 hours for the month. So what we can actually do is turn auto calc on. So let me close this and just do a new import. Let me turn auto calc on and do that exact same process. And if I do that exact same process, you'll notice we get a slightly different answer. So now what happens is everything from non-chargeable hours to the right gets automatically calculated. Up until non-charge value. The fee amount, costs, and your custom fields are non-calculated at the moment. We might have some plans to make those calculating fields, but for now they're not calculated. So what's going to happen for this 160? My standard hours was 160. I said 110 chargeable. The system will now go and calculate. There's 50 remaining for non-chargeable. It'll go find my rate for that period, and it'll go get me a chargeable value for those hours and a non-chargeable value for those hours. So that all gets pre-calculated for me, so I don't have to do that in the spreadsheet. So theoretically, I could actually grab the spreadsheet for every single staff. I could just go and fill in my chargeable hours. The system will then pre-calculate everything over here, which is non-charge values and chargeable values. Sorry. Awesome. So that's what I wanted to cover with employee budgets. This data can be used then for things like reporting and targets, that kind of stuff. We still have plans to bring this through to Planner and other areas in the system. So at the moment it's not, but watch the space. We do want to bring this information out through and use it in Planner. So talking about Planner, let's jump across into Planner, and let me just take you through a couple of the features that we've now added since the last webinar that we've had. Okay, so over into Planner, I'm not going to go through a whole tutorial on Planner itself. If you want that, just give us a shout. Lots of guys will take you through Planner. If you haven't seen our Planner yet, you'll have a nice little introduction to it. So what I do want to take us through is a couple of the additions that we've done since our last webinar. So first one that I want to go through is we've got this concept of boards or workspaces. So in Planner, you can have multiple project boards. That then means that you can segregate tax work to a tax board and audit work to an audit board. And, you know, whichever way you want to use the system, it does give you that benefit that you can have multiple boards. However, the drawback to doing that was it meant that reporting now was limited to only on that board. So what we've introduced is this option to say all project boards. And what you will see now is I've now got a full project list for demo board, for Bradley demo board, Bradley Miller workspace, bookkeeping. I've now got all my projects across all boards. Okay, so obviously very valuable now. It means that even though you segregate boards, you can still report across all of the boards and view data across all of the boards. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. And while we're talking about that, now I want to go over to filters. So I think I've covered filters a few times. We've added 1 or 2 extra filters, as well as now that we've got so much data, how do we work with this? So the next thing that you can do is you can actually come down and across all boards, I can go for assignee me. And these are now my projects that I've been assigned to across all my boards. So as you can see, much shorter list and only relevant to me. This also then allows you to obviously go into those boards, projects, and find the jobs that are relevant to me, as well as if I go to things like grid jobs, you'll then only have the jobs that are assigned to me. Okay, so quite valuable. Now, it also does mean it's across all boards, so I can go and see all of my work at one screen without having to flip between multiple boards. The other thing that this also gives you, which is quite interesting, so I'm quite interested to see what it looks like now. We've got the board jobs, which is a drag and drop view where you can drag the statuses. So if you want to move things to different statuses, you can drag these. The interesting part now is because this is across all boards, it's going to aggregate all my statuses across all boards. So you'll see there's quite a lot of statuses here. If I go down to just one board, you'll notice I'm not going to have that many statuses. I'm going to only have this item in these statuses. So if I go back to all boards, I will have all my lanes. You however can't drag and drop to the lanes that don't exist. It won't let you drop. You have to drop it in. You'll see they grayed out. So you have to drop it into one of the lanes where this has access to. All right, so I wanted to show that. I also wanted to showcase the user-defined filter. So under filters here, you'll see there's quite a long list of filters. We've already got things like clients, tasks, partners, offices, those kind of things. We've recently added user-defined services. So user-defined services is, let's just say, these guys you can set up. So you define it for your database. So you have a list of services you render for your clients. You can now go flag your clients for those different services, which now means if I want to go and see all my payroll jobs, I can just click payroll. Bad example, I don't have any. Let's add another one. Let's use PAYE. Awesome. Okay, there Pomalot comes up as PAYE. So this job now falls under the PAY user-defined service. If I look at this job by just clicking on it, we'll see this job is for 25 Link Road. And just to show you, if I open up 25 Link Road here quickly, just to show you where this information is coming from. We've then got their user-defined services, and this guy is flagged for PAYE. All right, so also very valuable. If you've got multiple boards, multiple services, all those kind of things, these filters become very handy. And they are multiples. So if you want to see PAYE and tax directives, or VAT even, I'm just trying to find things here. I'm just winging this at the moment. But as you add on more items, I'm not getting anything more, but this will bring up other clients as well assigned to those services. Okay. All right, and at any point we can just clear those filters. Cool. So enough about filters. I also wanted to go over things like exporting. We've added on exporting to Planner. So if I go back to list view, let's just say the Pomalot project over here, it's just got step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nothing too drastic. If I wanted to, I could just go here to the interesting enough, it's called the meatball menu. But if I go to the meatball menu, we can then go to export to Excel, and you will have that data in Excel. So if you want to use this for anything else, you can just drop that into Excel, and it will have all the statuses, the assignees, the dates, all of that in Excel. Awesome. So that's for one project at a time. You can go to any project and export. What you can also then do is inside the project, you can go to the little sort of reporting grid over here. You can add on a couple of group bars. So let's just say we want to group this by employee. So now we can see Blake has 3 jobs, Bradley's got 1 job for the budgeted hours, the actual hours. This as well can be exported to Excel. So you can hit that button, export that, use these figures for reporting purposes, anything like that as well. The last export we've added is depending on your filters here. I'm just going to go to something smaller. I'm just going to go to my workspace just so I got a couple of projects. You've also got then in the little cog menu, you've got export all projects to Excel. Now this respects your filters. So depending on the filters you've used, you can then hit export. It'll take all the data you filtered down. And lastly, that will give you a bulk export. So you'll see for project trust compliance, new templates, these are all the jobs according to those filters. Okay, so that's a couple of export options we've got there. We're working on an import, so you can soon start exporting and importing as you would like. So that's coming in the future. Alrighty, then the other thing I wanted to cover, I was supposed to cover it under filters. Under the grid projects and grid employees, let's go to grid employees. I'm going to put this across all boards because it looks beautiful. Once I do that, we'll get for every single employee in the database or for these filters that I've got access to, we'll have how many jobs they have and the current status of these jobs. Now, what this allows you then to do is we've added on these little quick filters. So if you want to see everything that's currently in review, you can just hit the review filter and you can now see Bradley's got 3 jobs in review, Megan's got 2 jobs in review, Brenda's got 3 jobs. If you want to see, okay, well, what else is being in progress, you can just add on more quick filters and build that up. Okay, so you can go use the quick filters to actually use those statuses and update these grid views. The other thing you can also do is, okay, Bradley's got 24 jobs. If you just want to filter for Bradley, wait, not a good example. Let's filter for Sean. So if you filter for Sean, we'll get Sean's stuff. And then we can just go to list view, and this is all Sean's projects. So this gives you quite a nice, quick, interactive way to apply a filter instead of having to go to here, go to assignees, search for Sean, find Sean, add him to this filters. You can just use the little quick filters from these grid cards. All right. Same concept applies for the grid projects. So again, it will give you a card for all your projects in the database. And you can then go and do the same concept for the projects to filter on specific projects, as well as projects with certain jobs in certain statuses. You can do the same for that. All right. Then the last thing I want to cover in, oh wait, there's 2 more things I want to cover in Planner. Sorry, I'm going to go over time. My colleagues are going to shout at me for talking too much again. All right, the one thing I want to just go over is bulk updates. So we released bulk updates quite a while ago. We've just added little enhancements here as well. So let's go to something like Bradley Miller's workspace. Let's use the spring webinar that I did last year. If you want to bulk update anything, you can hover over. You will get these little tick boxes appearing. You can then start multiple selecting jobs, as many jobs as you want, and that will allow you to start bulk updating. What we've added extra now is you can move jobs to different projects. So if these jobs no longer relate to this project, you can move it to another project that you have access to. Alternatively, you can also delete in bulk. Okay, so if you've gone and duplicated something and you need to delete it, it was quite painful one by one trying to delete things. You've now got, for instance, select all, delete, and then you can drop everything from that project if you want to do that. Awesome. So that was quick bulk updates. And then last thing I want to do is just a bit around security. So with the security in Planner, we've added another level of security. So this board that I have full access to, I'm going to pick on this one because this is my board. You can go and assign other staff in your practice to this board and certain roles. So the roles we have is no access. In other words, they won't even know the board exists. You've got guest access, which will allow them to read view only, so they can literally come in and see stuff. They can't change nothing. You then got contributor, where they can update the statuses and contribute documents and notes to jobs. And then you got collaborator, which gives them full access. In other words, they can come in and they can add jobs, they can move jobs, they can do whatever they want. Okay. We've added above this now, this option here to say grant assignees collaborator rights. So what that means is you can give somebody guest rights to a board, but if you tick this box to say that assignees get collaborator rights, any jobs that have been assigned to a staff on that board, they will have full rights to that job only and no other jobs. So only the ones that they are assigned to. And to showcase this as an example, so again, Bradley Miller Workspace is my board, so I have full access. I can come in here, I can add, I can move, I can change dates, everything like that. Okay, so you can see that bar there. But something like the audit board, you'll notice here, I can't add any new jobs. So those ghost rows that we see here, I don't have access to those, so I can't add to this board. I also cannot update these jobs. If I go into this job, you'll see this is assigned to, this is not assigned to anyone, it's Sean's job, but I can't change anything but statuses here. So I'm only got, I think, contributor rights on this board. So if I, however, go to this job, this one's assigned to myself. This job, I can now go and change the dates. So I can move the dates around, I can change the budget, I can add anything that I want, I can delete it, all that kind of things. So that gives me full rights. So we added that quite recently. That then gives you another level that possibly you want to make these boards a bit more interactive, but you don't want staff to come in and start moving things they're not supposed to be moving, or alternatively just adding things willy-nilly. So you can kind of lock that down a little bit more with the security. Awesome. Thank you guys for listening to me. I'm going to now hand over to Pierre. If there's any questions, please just pop them in the chat. Whoops, I got into the wrong slide. Just pop them in the chat. I'll answer them along the way. And yeah, we'll get back to you. Thanks a lot, guys. Over to you, Pierre.
Thank you, Bradley. And thank you all, and welcome to a quick view of the payroll. Bradley, I think those features are brilliant, and the clients are going to benefit hugely from it. From a payroll point, couple of things that we've done over the last couple of months since we've last spoken and done the webinar. On the agenda today, just very quick and briefly, it will be the RP5 submission. The season has started. Obviously, that's something that's on everybody's lips. What is SARS want this time, how are things going to work for us, what to look out for, and obviously with what did GreatSoft Payroll do to make this process a little bit smoother. And also we'll touch base on what is new over and above the submission started. What else did we add to our system that clients will benefit from? Starting with the RP5 submission, I'm similar to Brad. I like to do a little bit of a show and tell more than what I take you through screenshots of various items. We have introduced 5 new reports that will assist you with your RP5 submissions. These reports are RP5 company information validation, where a report will do a validation on any information required for the submission, your address, the page-year number, SDL numbers. Are there any comma special characters and those type of things, and the same effect applies to all 4 the others. You have an employee validation report, which will do your ID number checks versus nature of person, passport numbers, items, things that's completed. We also included a report called structure validation report, and a structure validation report is one of the things that SARS does want or do require is whenever you do and you've got branches, the employee's place of work must appear on his certificate. So if you do have branches set up within the payroll company, your structure will then pull up any information missing in terms of company or the address where the employee is being employed, telephone numbers and those type of things. Then you've got a tax validation report. This is the one where the system goes and searches for every employee and makes sure that the tax number on an employee is there and it does match the criteria for being a valid number. The one that I am going to show you a little bit of how it works, and the same filter applies to all of them, is the employee address validations. And this is the report that you can run and pull physically at any given time. You don't have to wait for a financial year to be completed. Throughout the course of the year, if you want to start updating your employee information, see what's missing, you can run any of these five reports so that when we get to the RP5 submission time, it's a stress-free environment, and it's not that submissions are being done, it gets rejected by EasyFile because this employee doesn't have a postal code, or his street address contains invalid characters or something of the sort. The reports are all built around the payroll company. Now, if you've got multi clients that you run payrolls for, you will have a long list of payroll companies, so you can run this all at the same time. Select the tax year, and it's not limited to a specific pay month or a pay week. If I'm the month of March, I can run it for that specific given tax year to already see and pick up what issues I might have. And viewing the report is, all the reports are user-friendly. So for this one, it tells me this specific employee, the suburb cannot be blank, or you've got characters that might exceed 33, and we know that EasyFile will not accept the import file as the submission will fail. Great. Then over to the next step. Now, there's a couple of processes I'm going to miss because that's stock standard across all payroll systems. It's generating the file that you import into EasyFile. And you do the submission of those. But before we get to that is I send this to my clients, I send this to my staff, I obtain a lot of information, and we've picked up that it takes a long time for clients to go and update. If you've got 1,000 employees and all of them have missing information, or there was changes made to the bank details or address details, it does take a long time to go through it one by one. So we've introduced under the bulk management an option that will allow you to bulk export employee information into an Excel sheet. This is what the screen does look like. So you've got a file, you've got an export option on here, and you also have an employee update details. Now, from the list, if you're a bureau service where you do other clients, you can select the clients one by one. You can select all of them at the same time, or you can just select a specific company if you just want to work with a company. If the company has been selected, you simply select all the pay intervals that's relevant within it. The system will go and collect all of the employees inside it, select all of them, and create your export file. Now, this export file you can email to the client, and you can mark all the different columns that you want them to complete for you because you need this information. You send this off to the client, and they come back and make changes to employees' bank details, account numbers, list income tax numbers that they never gave you, fixed ID numbers, the address details of the employee, etc., etc., etc. So that file the client completes, and they send this back to you. Once you receive the file back from the client, you simply select the Update Employee Details screen, and I've already prepped one that I'm just going to collect. It's a drag and drop. Are you sure want to update? Yes, proceed, and the system goes and applies all those changes across the board to all of the employees that you had on your file. So it's a very quick way now to update personal details of all employees. And it's not just something that clients are currently using for financial year end submissions. It's something that you can do at any given time to make sure that your records are always up to date and up to scratch, specifically when it comes to bank detail changes on staff members. Then we skip the process. Payroll, you access the payroll system, you create your generic file, the file that you will import into EasyFile. The file gets imported, goes through successfully because of all of the hard work you've just done, updating your employee details. You do the EMP 501 declaration, you submit it to SARS, and the end result will always be something like this, your RP5 IT3A tax certificate record. Now, one big headache that we have experienced from what our clients is, how do I get this to my clients? I need to merge this into one document. I need to do something with it. So we've introduced something last year that we call a document administration system, or more a document storage type of thing. Now, what I've done already was I've created for my payroll company, for my client, I've created a subfolder for the year 2022. And a nice, secure, easy way to distribute this is once again just a drag and drop, 44 certificates selected, upload certificates, and the system will go and distribute these tax certificates into those documents that, or into the employees that was processed from the payroll. Obviously, ones that does fail are certificates that might have been manually added onto EasyFile as extra or additional. These employees do not exist within my payroll company, and obviously the system will just ignore them. It will not import them. And just to do a very, very quick show and tell on what it will look like if I do access my employee, just one of them that I've picked for this to play around with. There we go. Just waiting for it to open. There we go. So tax certificates for the tax year 2022. That's the tax certificate document I've just uploaded. And we can see this is D4E as it was done by EasyFile. So I'm not going to open this thing. It just take a long time into open it with Adobe, etc. But as an employee, you can download the file and you've got your certificate that was safely and securely distributed to you. Right, RP5 validations, or the things that GreatSoft has done for RP5 purposes this year. Then I'm moving over to the section, what is new? Now, obviously, you can grant your staff access to the payroll. You can grant access to your clients, their employees access to the payroll so that they can log in and download their own certificates and still not being distributed along method. Now, we did notice that it does take some time to invite people to it. So a new feature still under the bulk management option is a bulk user creation. And this is a screen where you can invite employees that is already on the payroll to access the payroll. Now, the screen is per tab sensitive. So by me clicking on something, it goes down into alphabetical name. Obviously, if I click on payroll company, it will be filtered down to payroll company level. And if there's 1 or 2 or 3 of them that I do want to invite, I simply select create new users and please send them a welcome pack as well. And if I click on add, the system will then send an invitation letter to the email and they can log in and they can start from the welcome pack. They can look at some of the content on there, how to use it, and they can access the system themselves to download certificates. There's leave stuff and a whole bunch of other things that is brilliant from the from the options that they can utilize from. Right, then another new feature that we've also added or had to introduce into the payroll is during last year, the biannual submission, SARS made a big change on how tax directives are being declared and should be declared. And obviously we know there's 2 tax directives that SARS issues, and that is the one that is either via lump sum. So there's where a fixed amount needs to be taxed on a fixed amount that you have to declare to SARS. And the other option that they might do is issue an employee with a tax record for 18%. We went one step further. So on an employee, the pay-swap options, we introduced the pay-as-you-earn as per the directive that was given by SARS. We've done the one for lump sum, and we've also added a pay-as-you-earn as a percentage on an employee. Now the difference is on the declaration of how it gets declared to SARS on an RP5 method. As it stands now, this is the only one where a tax directive with a tax directive number gets submitted. The pay-as-you-earn percentage given by SARS, they do not want to see the tax directive on there, but what they do want to know is when the submission is submitted to SARS that this person was not taxed as per statutory tables, and you might have heard or dealt with employment tax validations where SARS will come to you and say, right, I need you to explain why this employee's PAYE is different from what we've calculated according to statutory tables. And that's purely based because the indicator wasn't set the way that it was on the actual submission. So, and both this one and the bottom one will request from you a percentage to be added. The difference is the pay-as-you-earn as a percentage on an employee is an instruction on the employee to tax him differently. This one will also stay on the percentage. If you go from February to March, it doesn't reset back. So it's brilliant to use for those guys who want to be taxed at the 40% rate forever, or tax the employee on a part-time method of 25% forever. We did go a little bit further now, just to show you what the screens will also do is every time I select the screen, the back end of screen will adjust to allow you to make your selections. The lump sum one, we will the transactions that can be used for directives from lump sum is displayed. You do not get a list containing 100 transaction codes where you need to sift through all of them to find the one that you want. Now, we also made this thing a little bit smarter, not just recording a tax directive appropriately, but also how am I going to use the directive going forward. Now, just for argument's sake, I want to tax the employee as from the 1st of March, 25%, and the bottom one is just a date recording option. And if I save this, the system will then process this and it will tax the employee on the 25% method as you have provided. Now, it might be in the month of August, the employee comes to you and says, right, please do not tax me on a 25% method anymore. From today going forward, I want to be taxed as per statutory tables. Now, I know that most systems you need to process a termination on an employee and then either re-engage or create a new employee, and it's a big story. So we've introduced a manage your directive option. So if a directive is recorded, you can select that directive and you've got an option to either disable the directive from a specific date. So as from the 31st of August, I want this directive to be disabled. The system will then produce a tax certificate for the employee from the month of March up until the end of August on this specific method, indicating it was a fixed rate and not statutory tables, etc. And then as from the 1st of September, the system will produce a second tax certificate for the employee as per statutory tables. The same option can be done if the directive must be disabled on 25% and then another one introduced on 38%. So two different sets of year-to-date records can be managed this way. And obviously, I've made a remorse. I should never have done this. Delete the directive and you can take it out. Then something that I can't really do a show and tell on, but I'm not sure if many of you who have been working in the payroll environment have recently been contacted by your clients that the Department of Labor is to confirm an audit on them for missing information never sent to them. And for that purpose, I'm referring to the UIF declaration file that must be created and submitted to Department of Labor by the 7th of each month. And this file must contain all relevant employees, what they earned, the status of them, whether they are active, medical, their bank details, what did you pay them, the UIF contributions on a month-to-month basis. Many people are submitting a UI-19 return form. But this electronic declaration file has been in the payroll world for quite some time. The administration of this is always a complex thing, because if you do 70 payrolls, you must submit this file 70 times. And it's always a manual extract. Download the file, attach it to a mail, send it off. Other systems, you must select certain buttons and options, and then it opens up a mailer and you need to press 70 times, send. So from a GreatSoft point, what we've done was we went one step further. On a payroll company, you now have the option to tell the system or advise the system to generate this file when you roll over. So every time you go from a month, February to March, March to April, the system will generate the file and or to email the file. And because this file will contain the person who is the associated person with the submission file, UIF will then still email that person back to say your submission was successful, or there was an issue with this employee because there was a mismatch on his bank details or something of the sort. So this saves a huge amount of time, and it's an automated process. So on every rollover, GreatSoft will create the file, GreatSoft will submit the file, and the feedback will come directly back to the client from UIF stating, we have received your file. The additional option that we also do with this is you will get a mailer from GreatSoft stating that your file was created and your file was submitted to UIF. So we do go that extra option there to give you the secureness that your UIF declaration file has been submitted successfully. Then last thing that I just want to do a show and tell before I knock off and hand over to Sheldon is you working on payrolls. You always get the thing, listen, my payroll is giving me calculating tax to the amount of this. And you pull out a calculator and an Excel sheet that's 15 years old, and you try to figure out how did the system, with all of the information that I do see on my payslip, get to this amount of pay as you earn. So we've recently introduced a tax calculation page, and this tax calculation page will show you everything that you do require for a tax calculation: the employee's age, how many periods he worked, how many periods has he been employed for, what tax method is being used, the rebate to apply for the tax year, are there medical tax credits, and then we will start breaking them down for you in your annualized taxable income, or annualized taxable income plus your taxable fringe benefits, less your deductions that reduce your taxable income, and what is your taxable income that will be used to calculate tax, a breakdown of how to get annualized to an annualized amounts, what tax brackets have been applied minus the lower brackets. We all know how the section works. And then we do a calculation of what is your tax on your normal taxable income. Then we take it to the next step. Are there any lump sum payments or items such as bonuses, termination leave pays? And we do a PAYR calculation separately on that as well. And once we've matched all the tax calculations that comes together, we give you a breakdown of how we get to the pay as you earn that's currently on your payslip. And that's, you can also tie back to what's currently on the employee slip, and the two amounts will match. I thank you all for the very quick show and tell. I'm going to hand over to Sheldon. Let me just get to the right page. There we go. Sheldon from GreatSoft Sec. Sheldon, floor is yours.
Thank you, Pierre. Thanks for showcasing all those exciting features through to us. There's a lot happening in the world of payroll these days. The payroll team is making things happen, and keep it up, guys. Awesome. Cool. I'm just gonna quickly get going today, and just for the agenda on my side, I'm gonna do a quick introduction, and then we're gonna look at what's new and improved within the system. And then I'm going to look at some of the big impact items that we've released over the last few months. Cool. So for those of you who have a keen eye would have noticed that we've recently reestablished ourselves in the market. We've given ourselves a new product identity, and we're trying to move away from ESEC in the sense that we're trying to make it known that we're not a desktop application anymore. We've moved into the cloud, and our system is fully cloud-based. So to support that, we've given GreatSoft Secretarial a new identity. In that sense, we've brought in some new features, and the team is working super hard to give you guys the best that we can from our side. So if you haven't already, please go ahead and check out our new website. It's at greatsoft.co.za. You can just head over and click on Solutions, and then head over to Secretarial. While you're on the website, you can also go ahead and check out our new fully fledged referral program. This referral program is not only specific to GreatSoft Secretarial, it's for all the products within GreatSoft. So how it works is you fill out the form, you refer a friend, and then you will receive 20% of their implementation investment, and they will get a 20% discount on their implementation cost or investment as well. This is subject to your friend or the person you refer to us signing up to GreatSoft. We've also established a GreatSoft Secretarial affiliate page on LinkedIn. So you can either search for us in the LinkedIn search bar, or you can, if you are already following the GreatSoft main page, you can just head over to the GreatSoft main page, and then on the right hand side you'll see affiliate pages, and then you can just click on GreatSoft Secretarial and go and give us a follow to stay updated with all the news in and around Secretarial. We have recently done some blog posts there. We've recently also published a white paper. So I'd really like you guys to go ahead and give us a follow. So if we look back over the last few months, it's I think we did the last spring update in September. So since then, we've addressed 96 items as the secretarial development team. And if we remove some of the public holidays and the time off over December, it works out to an average of about, let's say, 1.3 or so items a day that the team's addressing. So we're really working hard to make those enhancements, and yeah, please do send through any feedback or any suggestions that you do have. The team are quite proactive, and we do try and get back to you ASAP. If we need more info, we might need to set up a meeting just to get some more info and make sure that we can deliver on those expectations. So if we look at what's improved in the system over the last few months, as I'm pretty sure you guys are well aware of now, we've made some big changes to the way users can capture auditors and/or accounting officers. Reason being, this is to fall in alignment with the Companies Act in and around the auditor rotations. So we've added a new section where the users can capture the audit firm, and then when they click on the audit firm, they'll be able to select the relevant auditor, independent reviewer, or accounting officer associated to that firm. I think it was the December release. We focused a lot on the Namibian forms and changes that needed to happen in terms of staying compliant with Namibia. So we updated the CM 9, 11, 14, 15, 25, 26, and 27 forms found in Form Filler, as well as generated in Workflow, to the latest form issued by BIPA. We also spent a lot of time on the CC2 form, so we made numerous enhancements to the CC2 form generated in Workflow as well. If we look at some of the more exciting features that we recently added, so these are some of the new features that we've added, and I'll go ahead and showcase some of these features to you guys in just a second. We've added share allotment, transfer, buyback, and redemption comments. So in each of those respective utilities, we've added a comment section, which will allow you to capture share rules or any or other comments you'd like to associate to that specific transfer of shares or buyback. We've also added information officers to the company registers. We've added a new register High Court listing, a report that will allow you to report back on the High Courts associated with a particular trust. And then a very nice report that we've also added is the shareholders consideration listing, which will allow users to report back on the price per share, as well as the total consideration per shareholder. In the last release that came out in a few weeks ago, we expanded special resolutions in the registers to cater for all resolution types. I'll show you guys how that works in just a bit. And then we've also included a fantastic statutory health check report as well. This report will give users a comprehensive view on each entity's statutory health, if I can call it such, more specifically whether or not the annual returns, compliance checklists, public interest scores, auditors, directors, registered officers, statutory officers, shareholders, trustees, members, beneficiaries, or anything in and around the SEC register has been recorded. So I think this is something that's been missing for a long time from the system. So it will give the company secretary or the secretarial administrator this holistic view of what's happening in terms of company secretary compliances within the GreatSoft system. So before I head over to demo, I just want to highlight some of the big impact items. So in the October release, we completely reworked the GreatSoft organogram, and we added some new and amazing features. We also did some renaming around the organogram itself. Previously, it was named organogram up and down. We've provided some more clarity around that and renamed them as organogram shareholders and organogram subsidiaries. We've added editable and not editable modes. There's a search feature. You can expand and collapse branches. We've enhanced the filtering. You can now apply your own themes and logos, and you can export this to PDF and PNG, given you have the license to do so. We've also reworked the annual returns dashboard completely. So this will allow you to see and do annual returns differently, more effectively, and it's also a lot more user-friendly. So enough said, let's go ahead and show you guys some of these features that we've brought into the solution. Just want to go ahead and minimize my presentation and then head over to the dashboard. And then from there, from the dashboard, I'm going to head over to dashboard and then new annual returns. So you guys will see this is all on the new technology. So it's the new front end user interface as well as on the back end. We've made numerous enhancements to the way that the system pulls this data. And this is going to be the future of GreatSoft. And as well as GreatSoft Secretarial. So you guys will see that in certain areas of the software, we're slowly but surely moving over to the new technology. And as a team, we're super excited and can't wait to get the other areas in the hands of the users. So if we look at the annual returns search screen, you guys will see that it looks very different in terms of UI. There's an amazing interactive live search. So as you start typing, the system will start returning the results. And as you can see, it's quite lightning quick. And if I want to search for a specific company, I think it's Muzzy Bay Trading. There's Muzzy Bay Trading. Another enhancement that we've made to this is you can now sort on these column headings. All of these column headings are sortable. So you can sort per the specific column heading. You can also enable other features by clicking other filters by clicking on the filters button. So this will allow you to filter down to specific statuses. So maybe you only want to see annual returns that are open or not started. You could go ahead and do so by applying the relevant filters. You can also include or exclude terminated clients, deregistered clients, non-sec clients, or flag clients not flagged for annual returns. So you can include and exclude those at your will. And then you guys will see there's quite a differentiation here. So we have a not started that's grayed out, and then we have a not started that's highlighted in red. So the reason why this Anesca trading is highlighted in gray is that it needs some prerequisites for us in order to determine when this annual return is due, as well as the client's year end. So if you just hover over the client's name, it will open a little tooltip, and there you can see this client has no date of incorporation and it has no year end configured. Okay, so some of the other cool features that we have here is you can export this to Excel, and when you export this, it will respect your filters as well as your column selections, so you can hide or show certain columns on this new view. And then if you wanted to reset, you can just click on the reset button and it will apply all the previously selected columns. So if you click on export, it will export it to CSV. And then from here, you can open it up in Excel and make use of your pivot tables or report back to it a director or partner as need be. Okay. Some of the other features is you can enable full screen mode, which will just give you some more screen real estate. You can enable or disable the grid view. So then you get a nice card view per annual return. And then if you click on that little icon there, it will open up the annual return in a separate tab. So it's no longer a pop-up. It opens directly in a tab, and then you can navigate in and between the two different tabs. So you might be asking, okay, Sheldon, how do we access the reports? You can just click on this little icon here, the preview icon, and there you get the South African annual duties listing report as well as the Namibian report as well. Global letters can be accessed by clicking on that icon over there, and that will open up the global letters utility, which you could then use to generate your annual return letters in bulk. I see we have a question from Ashley. Ashley, you asked if we could print the annual returns in bulk. Are you referring to the Namibian annual returns or the South African annual returns? If you could just pop that in the chat and then I'll answer that question. Cool. So you guys can see that we've completely reworked the way you can use and interact with the screen, and it's quite a big jump from the old screen to this new screen. And this screen should be accessible to all users that previously had the annual returns menu icon available. So you'll see there's a new menu item referred to as new annual returns. And I see Ashley is referring to the Namibian annual returns. So actually, this is something that we do have on our roadmap. Unfortunately, at this point in time, you can only print those Namibian annual returns one by one, but we are looking to incorporate this feature in the coming months to the system. We'll also be looking to leverage off of the new annual returns screen when we bring that into the system. So it is something that we're aware of. It is something that we're doing a lot of research about, and we'll let you guys know as soon as we have that in the system. Cool. So if I head over to registers, I'm just going to do so by clicking on the secretarial icon, and I'm just going to search for Old Faithful, and let's use African Mobile Services. So I'm just going to highlight some of the new features on the register screen itself. So more specifically, the information officers. So you'll be able to capture the information officer as well as the deputy information officer. So I'm just going to go ahead and capture Bradley. You'll see it defaults, the designation defaults to information officer, but you can just clear that and type deputy information officer if Bradley were the deputy. And at this point in time, we don't have workflow being generated around this function as yet, but we'll be looking to add that in the next 1 or 2 releases. We can also go ahead and capture the relevant information officer themselves as well. So let's say that's Sean, and we can go ahead and capture that. Cool. On the resolution side of things, so you guys will see that there's no longer a menu item referred to as special resolutions, but rather resolutions. And we've made this expansion as we've had a lot of clients requesting for utility to allow them to capture the relevant resolutions, as well as the voting results on those resolutions. So moving forward, you'll be able to say whether or not the resolutions was passed by the minutes of meeting or it was a written resolution. You can give the date it was noticed, the date it was passed, if applicable, and if need be, the date it was registered with SIP-C, the type of resolution, whether it's a special, ordinary, or board resolution. I'm just going to choose ordinary, and then the resolution that was passed, the resolution number, so ordinary resolution OR caps 2022. You can capture the result on the voting. We can say it was failed. And then if need be, we can click on this little summary icon, and here we could capture the summary of the resolution and why it was passed. We could either copy and paste the entire resolution here in itself. So you can just go ahead and add that and then click on save and then save. So we'll be looking to expand on this in the next release that's coming out the 29th of April, and we'll be adding the Register of Resolutions report to these options over here on the left-hand side as well. Cool. That being said, we've made 1 or 2 small little minor adjustments, and Bradley referred to them as Easter eggs. So those users with keen eyes would have spotted that we've added the how-to button in the top right-hand corner of the register here. And I'd really advise you guys to go ahead and check out the how-to guides. They're quite in-depth and they're quite detailed. 1 or 2 of them, the more popular ones, have videos as well. So if you find yourself struggling, just go ahead and check out the help guides. If I head back to the register, on the workflow screen, we've added a request a template button. So this is more specific to a particular workflow. So let's say you on the appointment of director workflow, and you see that there's not a template that you perhaps would like to have here, and you feel that that template might be valuable to all or other GreatSoft users, you can just click on the request a template button. What it will do is it will open up your default email application, and there we just give you a short little description. Please let us know of the template you'd like to have added to the relevant workflow. Should you have a template, I'd advise you to please attach it. And if I need more information, I'll go ahead and give you a call. So I'm just going to go ahead and close that. And then we can head over to reporting and then group organogram. So you'll see we have the group organogram for shareholders as well as the subsidiaries. So if I go ahead and open the organogram for the shareholders, for those of you who have not seen it as yet, we've completely reworked the organogram from the front end all the way through to the back end. It's a lot more quicker in returning the data. As you can see, this organogram itself is quite large. And the nice thing is you can search for a specific shareholder, because I know sometimes it's quite a mission to navigate through the organogram. So you can search for a specific shareholder. So if I say Sheldon Mayhew, you'll see that it pops up Sheldon Mayhew more than once. Reason being is that I must probably have shares within this entity more than once. So you can see it says 500 ordinary at 45%, and then we have 100 ordinary X at 5.2%. If I click on that, the system will direct me to those shareholding and highlight them in like a gray color as well. What you can also do is you can expand, zoom in and zoom out of the organogram by dragging and dropping the zoom option there on the top. You can also change the theme and add a logo. So let's say your client's colors are perhaps red, and I don't know, maybe you want to make the background a little lighter gray. You can add a logo. So if you choose a logo, let's just go ahead and look for GS Cloud. You can add a logo, click on that, preview it. So let's say that's your client's logo, then you can save it. So once you save, the organogram will refresh with the colors and logo you decided upon. And if we scroll to the center to see the entity whose shareholders we are viewing, we'll see that that logo also pulls through. You can also expand or collapse some of the branches. So on certain branches, let's say you did not want to showcase that shareholding, you could just expand or collapse that branch and showcase or highlight specific shares. So once you've applied the theme and logo changes, you can export this to PDF or PNG, or if you have CDM, you can save it directly to CDM. But let's say you're in a meeting with a client and you'd like to perhaps highlight specific shares. So let's say we wanted to transfer these shares from ABC auditors to perhaps to another shareholder. We can enter the edit mode, and currently this edit mode is only for viewing purposes, and it won't be saved when you revisit the organogram. So it's only for that instance when you're in the organogram that the changes will take effect. So you can click on the specific shareholder or a card. Then what you could do is you could perhaps highlight this in a different color. Let's say we wanted to highlight it in orange, and then you can also go ahead and add some changes. So to be transferred. And then you could also say to who it might be transferred or whatever the case may be. You can apply these changes, and there we can see that that specific card is highlighted. When you export it, the changes will still remain. So if we just export this to PDF, just might take a couple of seconds to export. And still it's thinking. Just going to save it and open it up. We'll see that if I zoom in, you guys can see this is quite a large organogram. We can see that the ABC auditors section or card is still highlighted. So we are looking at ways to keep this saved when you re-enter the organogram, but we'll most likely see that in coming months. So that's the organogram, and it's much similar for the subsidiaries. For those, that organogram has also been reworked. So if you open that up, you guys will see that it's very similar in the look and feel. Cool. So that's the organogram. I'm going to head over to some of the reports and the new reports that we've added to GreatSoft, more specifically on the secretarial side of things. So if I head over to Sec Reports and scroll right to the bottom, you'll see that the first report that I'm going to look at is the shareholder consideration listing. Please take note that if you do not see this report within your report section, you might need to contact our support team, and they might need to give you security rights to that report. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the shareholders consideration listing, and I'm just going to leave the default filters and run it. And you guys will see this is a nice report, especially for our corporates, or if you are in the practice and are dealing with bigger clients and would like to report back on the price per share, you can make use of this report. So we'll see for 25 Link Road, Ordinary A, Certificate A4, there's 10 shares. The total consideration for those shares is 1,000. Therefore, the price per share is 100. And you can run this report per client, per register, and it's quite nice and handy. Once again, you can export this to Excel, Word, or PDF, however you need to share it with your client. Cool. The next report that we added is the Register High Court listing. I'm not going to go into that one into too much detail. I see time is catching up with me, but it's basically just a listing of your relevant trusts and the high courts associated to those trusts. The report that I do want to highlight is the statutory health check report, because I do feel this is a report that a lot of our clients are going to be making use of moving forward, especially when onboarding to GreatSoft for the first time, or let's say you've been making use of GreatSoft for some time and you just want to make sure that all your clients' records or matters are in check. So you have the option of either running the report for all your clients within the database. You can group it by partner, manager, in charge. You can even go ahead and group it by entity type, group, or office. You can include or exclude terminated clients. You can include or exclude deregistered clients. You can filter out on specific entity types. You can choose a specific health type. So let's say we wanted to see all the registers that don't have an audit firm captured. We can just select the health type audit firm. And when the report refreshes, it only gives us the audit firm column and then all the registers where the audit firm is missing. So we can see that Albatross Nest doesn't have an audit firm captured, and very similarly for corporate and investment bank, they don't have an audit firm captured. So if we just go ahead and untick audit firm and select all, you guys can see that this report is pretty comprehensive, and it's going to give you that overall holistic view to see where your client's statutory health is at. And let's say a specific column is not applicable to that entity, we've just added an NA indicator. So here we can see these are most probably all companies or CCs, but here on the left-hand side, this is a trust, and we can see there is a beneficiary captured for that trust. We've also included the public interest scores as well as the compliance checklist to make sure that you guys stay on top of everything and anything. So I hope you guys can see the value in this report. It is, I think it's one of my favorite reports within GreatSoft Secretarial, and I know a lot of our clients have been asking it for some time. I think that's everything. I hope I didn't miss anything. If I did miss something and you guys do have some more questions, please do feel free to contact me. And then I'd like to ask any of you that are interested to please come in and join our South African as well as Namibian user groups. We are continuously trying to bridge the gap between our users as well as development. And if this is something that interests you, please just send me an email. My email is on screen there, sheldon.mayu@greatsoft.co.za. If you're not able to grab my email there, you're more than welcome to send our support team a mail, and they'll happily share my email with you guys. So in a nutshell, those are the changes that have been applied to GreatSoft Secretarial over the last few months. And yeah, I hope you guys are excited as I am for the coming months. And then I'm going to give over to our new team member, Zandre, and she's going to tell you guys what's hot and happening on the tax side of things. Cool. Over to you, Zandre.
Thanks so much, Sheldon. And can you see my screen?
I think you might just need to share. It looks like you've requested control. I'm just going to deny and then...
Okay, let me just share it. There you go. It should be up now.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sheldon. Really appreciate it. And also for Brad and Pierre, I think I speak for everyone when I say the features are very cool and very interesting. I'm still a bit new, so every time we do a demo or we do a product update, I'm also very excited to see all the new features. So then I think I'd like to say good morning to everyone, and thanks for joining, and thanks for staying until the end to hear a little bit more about what's happening in the tax space. Because I'm new, well, newish. Let's just give a short introduction. I'm Zandre van Rooyen, for those who haven't seen my name yet. I'm the product manager and tax specialist. I took over from Lee, who left to explore new things in Australia. I can safely say I'm still new, as this is my first webinar. So please excuse if I'm a bit nervous or if I stutter a little. But yeah, I just recently joined the GreatSoft team in September in 2021. I studied BCom Financial Sciences at the University of Pretoria, and I did my tax articles at an audit firm, and I also have my honors in taxation. Then just one interesting fact about me before we get started with tax is I have a little bunny, and his name is Chewy, and yes, he does chew on everything, but he's actually named after the Star Wars character Chewbacca. So it was just a very big coincidence that it's short for Chewy. So yeah, let's start with the agenda for the day. I thought, not a lot of the features we don't have as many new and fancy features yet. So we're just going to do a short enhancement recap of some of the features that were added in the last few releases. Then we're going to do a quick demo on the SaaS correspondence dashboard, which I think is a cool feature that was added. And then I'm going to show you guys, we're just going to talk about some of the features that are coming soon. So yeah, let's jump right into the enhancement recap then. I'm sure most of you have seen the "Do you wish to submit the return" button that was added, which I think is quite cool, because I know for me, when I was working on e-filing, and I'm sure you guys have all experienced a similar thing, is the submit and the save button is so close together, gives me anxiety. So that was a nice feature that we added. I mean, we're always looking to enhance user friendliness and make it easier and nicer to use. So yeah, that was a cool feature that's added. Then I'm sure all of you guys have also seen the pending operation feature. This one was just because some users clicked too quickly in the system and then it didn't save properly. So now you won't be able to navigate the form until it saves completely. So when you click into another section of the form, or if you delete something, the form will show this pending operation feature, just to make sure everything is correctly saved before it moves on to the next screen. Then we always try to make it nicer for the user and easier for the user to use when preparing a return. And we have had quite a few suggestions from our clients saying that, if a RP5 was pre-populated from source, then you can't edit the information, even if there's missing information. You had to delete the whole RP5 and manually recapture it, which we all know leaves room for errors. So we added a feature where if the RP5 was pre-populated and there is missing period information, then you will now see the edit button. Once you click on the edit button, you also receive this warning to say you're about to change data that was received from source. Are you sure this is correct? You will then click either yes if you are sure, or no if you're not sure, if you accidentally clicked on the button. And the GreatSoft system will also just make a little note of this to keep track of the change that was made. Then another feature that we also added was the validation in the statement of assets and liability section, because we know that sometimes it's not needed because of the questions in the preference section. This assets and liability schedule opens up, but it's not necessarily needed. And if you don't click into the section, it doesn't automatically pre-populate the zeros for you. So then there's no data in that section. So now what we did is we added this validation box at the end of the section, the statement of assets and liability section. So we will force the user to go into the section. You don't have to click into each field and tab through to add the zeros. You merely click into the section, tick the box at the bottom, and then the system will pre-populate the zeros for you. Then we added some filters, columns, and shortcuts to also make it a bit easier to use and nicer. So the first thing we added was an amounts payable column on the e-filing screen. When you do a bulk submission, there was no column to see what the amount was per the RP5 that was payable. Now, when you do a bulk submission, you'll be able to see this amount payable per client per return. Then also on the global tax entry screen, we added a taxpayer type filter, which just makes the search results a bit nicer. When you actually search for something, you don't see all of the taxpayer types anymore. You merely see the one you clicked, or if you want to see all. Then we also added a priority feature where you can choose the priority per your tax query. So now if you add a new tax query, you can select either low, medium, or high priority, and you'll also be able to filter according to that when you want to see what queries are still outstanding. Then on the tax assessment screen, we added a shortcut button just for you to be able to create a new tax entry easier. So if there is an amount payable, next to the amount payable, you'll see this little button that comes up. If it's a null, then there won't be any button. So only if it's a payable, there will be this button, and if you click it, a new the new tax entry screen will pop up, which just makes it easier to go there instead of clicking out of the assessment, clicking on create new tax entry. Then we also added the quick tax calculator and interest tax calculator to the burger menu. To be able to see this, you need to just assign the correct security tokens, but you guys can refer to the release notes. I'm not going to go into detail on how to add security tokens. You can refer to the release notes. We do tell you in detail, step by step, how to add the security tokens that are needed to be able to see these two calculators on the burger menu. Then we also received some queries from some requests from our clients saying that they're not sure when it's a note or when it's an error. And we also understand during busy season, you don't want to guess. You want to know, and you want to move on if it's just a note, or if it's an error, you want to clear it because it might be blocking submission, or it might block the return being moved forward in the review process. So we added just a little red dot at the side. Dot is for errors, and then a yellow is for notes. So just to make it easier to differentiate, as soon as the ribbon at the top appears, you'll be able to see if it's a note or an error. Then we added some nice system options. These I'm going to show you guys. So we added the default tax year system option. For this one, you can now choose, if you go into if you're on your RTR form screen, this tax year here at the bottom, you can now choose what year it defaults to, because sometimes you load the screen and you're still doing mostly 2021 returns, but it defaults to 2022, you don't look, and then you start the 2022 return. So now what you will do is you'll go into system options. Just a quick note is that only the administrators will be able to see the system options. So you go to system options, e-tax, and then tax calculators, or again, you can refer to the release notes for how the system options works and where to find them. You'll now scroll to the bottom and you'll see tax filing season end date. You'll also see a little block that tells you how it works, but in summary, this is the month when it will default to the next year. So now it's set to February. So until the end of Feb, it would have defaulted to 2021, and now it will default to 2022. Then you have all these months which you can choose from, and you can really just click and it will save, and then it will default automatically the next time you reload your screen. Then the next system option we added, I'm going to show you guys together, is the pre-population of the statement of assets and liabilities from the previous year. Also a comparative assets and liability report that is now available. So to be able to see these system options, we're going to go back to system options. E-tax, tax calculator all. I always just add this because I can never see. Then this one says show comparative assets and liability schedule. This needs to be yes to be able to see the report. And then the pre-populate assets and liability schedule from previous year system option has 3 options. You can either tick it to none. Sorry, if it's at the none option, then if you add an assets and liability schedule in the previous year, nothing will happen in the current year. If it's descriptions only the descriptions will be pre-populated in the current year or new year return. If it's descriptions and amounts, I mean, it's self-explanatory, both will be pulled through from the previous year. I mean, there are some assets that never change amounts, or that don't change year on year, so you can just pull it in. Just to note, it is still editable, even if you do click these options. It's just a pre-populate to make it easier so you don't have to complete it yourself every year. Okay, so our system option is set to description and amounts. I'm just going to show you guys quickly how it works. Just find the return I prepared. Also, just another note on this, it only works the first time you open a return. So I'm just going to click so we can get the schedule of the statement of assets and liabilities. I'm not going to complete the whole return. Just going to show you guys how it works because you need to do it correctly in order for it to pre-populate. So let's say we have a loan account. We'll just put in whatever the description is with an amount, and then you need to click the close button. We'll just do one more. Again, you put in a description with an amount and close. Let's just save. Now we can close. And now if we go to the next year, we will open up the return. We have never opened it up before. It wasn't edited before. Again, I'll just click to get the statement of assets and liabilities. And now you guys will see there's errors, meaning it pulled through from the prior year. It only says schedule in balance because you need to open up the schedule. If you agree that the amount is still 20,000 Rand, you can merely click close, the error will disappear. If it changed, if the amount changed, we can really update it and click close. And again, with the bottom one, let's just click close. Okay, perfect. So that was how the pre-population of statement of assets and liabilities from previous year system option works. And now if we want to see the comparative assets and liability report, we go to historical balances. Again, you need to click yes on the system option to be able to see this assets and liability schedule over here, comparative reports over here. So then you go to this one and you'll see our 2020, 2022 figures over here, our 2020 figures over here. It's editable and there's also a nice report that you can pull. So let's just wait for it to load. There we go. Perfect. So those are just some of the nice, I know completing a whole A&L schedule every year can be quite tiresome. So some nice features that was added there. Then let's just have a quick look at the sales correspondence dashboard. That was everything for the enhancement recap. So this is our nice sales correspondence dashboard. You merely go to the burger menu, tax dashboard, and sales correspondence. Then again, if you don't see this, it's the security token that needs to be added. So now we can use the filters and we can just filter for something specific. You can either tick more than 1 year, you can deselect all, you can select all. However you feel, it's very easy to use. And then we'll just select a date range over here. We're going to choose, I'm going into the future then. And very much the past. So just want to do 2016. I'm going to do a specific date and I'm going to do search. Then we'll get our view. Now we can, again, if you don't, now you go to the side, and if you don't, it's almost similar to the annual return dashboard Sheldon just showed us. This is very nice, and this one works kind of in a similar way. So if you don't feel like these columns are useful for you, you can really deselect, and then also you can save your view. Let's just put my default view, save, and then the next time you'll get your views on this list. And you can, well, I don't know if nothing so. Then you can just go to that view and it will have the same. Again, if you export to Excel, it will also respect whichever columns you selected and you'll get that specific report. So also just a very nice way, and yeah, at the side is just some nice buttons. You can either download your assessment, you can open the assessment, you can go to client maintenance, or you can mark the correspondence as completed. Then I think just a quick look into the future and some nice features that are coming. We are busy working on a new assessment screen. It's going to look exact. It's just a refresh of the screen. Just some new tech, front and back end that we are using, and it's coming soon. It's still in the QA phase, as you guys know. Assessments is very widely used, so it needs to be tested quite vigorously to make sure everything works correctly. Then lastly, some of the features that are coming in the next few months. I'm sure all of you guys will be very excited to hear that we are ready to start doing VAT. We're going to start building the VAT form and it should be ready this time next year. Then the provisional tax calculator. That one should be ready for the P2 2023 run in Feb. And then just a little update on the ITR 12 changes from SARS's side. We did receive this specification document and we are going to make the changes. We are going to test it and we might have some pilot. We'll have a pilot period, but I'll give you guys more information on that later. And the go live date, according to SARS at this point, is the 1st of July. So that will be when the changes will be implemented on SARS's side, and we'll also have it ready on our side. Yes, and I think that is it from my side. Just thank you guys for listening to me, and thank you guys for joining. I don't know if there's anything else from anyone.
Cool, thanks, Andre. Let me just grab the screen share back here. All right, everyone, thanks a lot for joining us. I think there were some nice things showcased, quite a nice, lot of new features, exciting things to look forward to. We want to try keep up the momentum on webinars. We'll try keep these regularly, let the clients know all the software changes, keep you guys up to date with the happenings in GreatSoft. I think it's quite good. I believe, Sheldon, you got something you want to share with the audience?
Yes, thanks, Brad. I'm not too sure if the audience is too familiar with the recently launched Great Academy. It's almost a year in existence, but I'd advise you guys to go ahead and check it out for any courses that you feel that your team might need in terms of any of the products showcased today. And then we also running a new course around demystifying trusts. Anyone that works with trusts within a tax space, a company secretarial space, or even an audit space, I'd really advise you guys to go ahead and have a look at this trust on our website, greatacademy.co.za. We've got one of the leading industry experts, Fian van der Spey, hosting this trust, and it will be a course that will be hosted all the way from April through to August. We're going to be doing 1 hour every 2 weeks, and these are just some of the topics that we'll be talking about in and around the course. Once you've completed the course, you guys will receive a certificate, and we are also in talks with SITE and SIPA and SICA with regards to getting this course to be CPD valid. So you guys can go ahead and check it out. I'd really advise you guys. She's going to be going through everything and anything around trusts, and it will also include a free copy of her book as well. So please do go ahead and check it out, together with any of the other product specific training that we host on a monthly basis. But yeah, I just wanted to showcase that to the audience. Thanks, Brad.
Cool. Thanks, Sheldon. All right, I think for now we'll call it quits. Thank you again for joining us. And yes, I hope you guys all have a good Easter weekend and a nice Easter month. I think we got a bunch of good holidays this month, so I can't wait for those nice long weekends. All right, thank you, everyone. We hope to see you soon next time. Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Have a good day.